Hello everyone, and welcome to my lesson on special methods. Now, if you're watching this video, I'm assuming that you already understand the concept of a class, the concept of a constructor, and also what it means to place methods within a class. Now, as a reminder, when we place a method in a class, we are specifying some sort of action we can do to an instance of this class. For example, I have created here a class called window size, and it's used to describe the dimensions of a window. It has two fields, width and length. Each of these are double, and these are basically the lengths you might want to measure on a window. And I've written the constructor here. It's just a simple constructor that specifies the parameters one by one. So now I want to look at two special methods that we can place in this class. So special methods are basically actions that are very general, so that we want to be able to do these actions to every class we create. And there are many examples of these, but we'll go over two of those actions today. The first one, the toString method, is associated with the action of printing an instance of the class in a console. And the second, the equals method, is associated with comparing two instances of the same type. So, these two methods are actually so general that the creators of Java actually included them in their object class. So that's the superclass to every other class in Java. And therefore, every class in Java actually inherits the methods toString and equals. But because every class is different, we might want a different toString method and a different equals method for each class we create. And the way we do that is we override these inherited methods by rewriting them in our own class. So here I have created them for our own class window size, and let's think about what we want the dimensions of a window to print out like. So let's I've created a string here, str, and we want a window size to read width, so number inches, where the first number is the width and the second number is the length. So we want the width, but the width is a double, so we want the string form of it. The good news is the double class also inherited the toString method, so we can just say double.toString of the width of this window, and we want to include the unit, inches, and the string form of the length of this window, and include the unit. Alright, so here is the string that we want to print out, and the toString method should return the string that you print out. It shouldn't actually print out the string. So we say return str, and let's go to our main class to test out how this thing behaves. So let's create a new window size. W1 is equal to new window size. We call on the constructor here, and let's just say it's 10 inches by 15 inches. Now let's try to print out the instance W1. So system.out.print W1. And let's try to run it and see what happens. And as you can see, we see exactly what we expected, 10 inches by 15 inches. And the convenient thing you can see from here is that once you call on the printLine method, it automatically calls on the toString method that you just wrote yourself. So you don't need to call on the toString method here again. Of course, if you want, you can say w1.toString and print that out. And it's going to behave the exact same way. But you don't need to, because Java recognizes that toString method, or any method that's called toString, is used to print out an object. So now let's go to the equals method. So if we think about two windows, we might want to say that the only way for two window dimensions to be equivalent is for the width to be the same and the length to be the same. So we might want to say so again, we're comparing this, so this instance of the class, we're comparing it to the parameter w, which is another window size type object. So we might want to say if the width of w is equal to the width of this window, and the length of w is equal to the length of this window, then we return true. Otherwise, we return false. So let's test this out here in our main method, main class. So we create a second window as w2, and let's make it the same dimension as the first window. Then let's create a third window and make it a different dimension. So now the width and the lengths are different. And let's try printing out w1.equals w2, and then just to make sure we test every possibility, we also print out w1.equals w3. So we're expecting something like the first line should evaluate to true and the second line should evaluate to false. So let's run this. And indeed the first line is true, the second line is false. But now, if you think about it, if you're buying a window, you might say, well, as long as the window can fit in a pane, then we want to say that, yes, this window is the right size. So maybe you want to say that when we are comparing two windows, as long as we can rotate it in some way for them to fit exactly together, then we should say that their dimensions are equivalent to each other. So in other words, the width doesn't have to be equal to the length. Sorry, the width doesn't have to be equal to the width. It might also be equal to the length. And as long as then the length is also equal to the width, then we can also say that the window dimensions are equivalent. So we can actually go into the equals method and modify our condition right here. We can say, so this is the first case under which we want to return true. But then also, if the width of w is equal to the length of this window, and the length of w is equal to the width of this window, then we also want to return true. So now let's come in to our main class and run it again. Because if you look at this now, we see that w1 is actually just w3 rotated by 90 degrees. So we should see true for both lines now. And indeed, that is what we get. So that was a very brief introduction to the concept of special methods, or as some other people call it, default methods. And you can see that it's a very powerful tool which allows you to create your classes which allows you to make your classes a very convenient tool for collaborators or colleagues to use, and it's an important skill to master.